this will be okay with a flatbed, right? So, kind of done. Eesh. Okay, so that was a little bit of a relief cutout that I cut when I did the fuel pump. I didn't drop the tank because I'm a little lazy like that. So we're maintaining this flat area for the bed base and the guide to go off, because that sill is level and that bed is level right now, so we know those two tie up together. These tape marks on the B-pillar are what I put on before I took the bed off, so I knew how high I wanted it to be, because there's no straight lines on this truck, so I can't line anything up other than it being level and at that height. So we've taken it all back up, so that's a mounting point, and there's a rear mounting point, so the mounting of the bed is awesome, and there'll be a front mount coming off the chassis legs there. And these cross members tell us how wide the actual bed is going to be. So we've still got some more trimming to do, but those are the original truck bed, the 53 f250 cross members. So yeah, we're still a touch wide, but we're closer. Definitely closer. Big pile of metal. Definitely closer. My word. Got to admit, going through like C-pillars and stuff like that are also multi-skinned, I feel like I've been wrestling a drunken belly dancer for the past 2 hours. I'm a bit buggered, but I shall carry on for a bit longer. Good morning all. So, steel buying day. The bed on this truck's going to be a little bit unique because the cab is quite far back, I think. Now it's a 110 wheelbase, the original Explorer, so the bed's going to be pretty unique in its front length and its back length, because I don't really want to be chopping this part of the frame. It's got a huge brace, spare wheel. We can keep that, you know, in place. That'll be awesome. So let's go and have a look at the bed sides and see how we're looking for this length and that length. And here we have bedside storage and storage of many other parts. So in front of the front wheels, it was like, to touching tyre to the back of the cab was like 25, so we have plenty of leeway to play with on the front. So we've got 28 there, and at the back we've got, you know, 26, so we're all good. So we have room to play with, so we don't have to touch the frame of the Explorer frame basically. 5 feet wide, 7 feet long, 5 feet wide. Game on, let's go buy some steel. More bed action. So originally I wanted to keep the Explorer wheel arches, or in some fashion, but it's just not going to work, so we're down to that, because the reason why I've chopped it off is because the 53 bed side comes in behind the rear wheel, and if it doesn't, then I'm going to have to trim that, if you know what I mean. Kind of confusing myself here, but it's still going to give us this flat area off which to mount, you know, the bed floor and the bed sides too. That's the idea. Hopefully it'll come clearer as things move forward, not just for you, but for me as well. The flatbed's there, so that's done. Just taking a measurement of 4 inches from, the cab's going to be here, to that point there. It's a 4-inch measurement. So that 4 inches, including a gap to the back of the cab, is there. So I just measured from that point to the wheel centre, and I've got to remove out of this bedside 6 7/8 of an inch, and lots of rusty metal. So yeah, so chop the bedside down and then see how she looks. Front of the bed's chopped like so, ready to butt up to that. This is kind of in position. Obviously it's going to be coming further back than that. There needs to be some room, but obviously nothing straight on this truck, like always. And so then I'm just going to run tape measure from there all the way back to about there. and that will be how long the bed sides are. I think first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to weld a cross member into the bottom of there, get that straight and strengthen it all up. One of those days where the combination of figuring out how to do something and actually doing it took so much time, and it doesn't look like I've done a lot. So here we go. That is the old front cross member for the bed. So out with the old. And in with the new. Nice heavy box. So obviously that's welded to the bed. That's a foot that's welded to that cross member, and then there's a captive nut in there, and then there is a bolt that goes from the bottom up to there. That's welded on the frame. I was gonna mount those directly to the top of the frame rail and drill a hole, but I don't know. I just don't like drilling holes in frames, especially the top rail. I don't know. It just didn't seem right. So I thought I'll just weld something on the side instead. And then this side, more of the same. So that's that done. Yes, that part is rubber mounted and that part is solid, but like with the cab, I've never had a problem hard mounting beds in any of the trucks I've ever done, so that's how it's going to be. And that was my way for measuring the height of the bed. That's because there's no straight lines, so I thought put some tape there and we'll get the height of the bed and make sure it's level and square and go from there. So let's hope and pray that's the right thing. Right now we have the bedside there, so we're going to offer that up, take some measurements, and then be chopping the back part of it soon. Okay, all you frame swap factioners on Facebook, with your fancy schlong beds, or should I say schmedium, that ain't going to work for me, because their arse looks huge. Front's kind of in place, and then that is my distance to the back of the frame, so we need to tuck that up tight. And then the wheel arch will come, it'll be super tight, like probably around there. Nice, so we'll get those bed sides welded up today and then see if we can fathom out some sort of rear bed mount or something like that. Oh my god, she actually looks like a truck. Ha ha! Right now we are propped up on many jack stands and blocks of wood, and as you can see nothing's particularly square, but I just wanted to try and get a visual of what I wanted bed length wise. The short bed from forward, this is forward about another 2 or 3 inches, it comes right down to the back of the fender there, but as you can see there I only have an inch that I can go forward before I hit the mountaineer frame, and I don't want to be messing about with this. I want to keep the spare wheel there, so as you can see I've got an inch there. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these off. I was going to keep these. I'm going to take these off and I'll run some box from the bottom of there down across and mount into the original Ford mount, probably reinforce it somehow. So I just tacked in the front cut, and then the back one is just held in with lovely miracle clips that are awesome. So yeah, I think that's tacked in as well. So the front's tacked in. I think I'm going to take another, as I say, inch out of the back. I think that will be a big slice of awesome. Little bit of a dumb thing I did on bed mounts. So as you can see, that one, that bolts into that, so that lifts up if we wanted to lift the bed off, because I want to make the bed one piece. So then in all my wisdom, the rear mounts are mounted on top, so that part of the bed cannot lift above that because the bugger's welded on. What a dick. Obviously the mount has to go underneath this, not on top of this, and I kind of knew it wasn't the right way to do it, but I thought I'll just sandwich it with a big plate on the bottom, grade 8 bolts. It ain't going to go anywhere. I never ever figured out that I couldn't get the bed off with it like that. Shit. It is hot as hell today, so we're going to get some quick progress done. Things are going well on the bed. As you can see, that's the sort of height. Let's get a measurement actually. So the bed, around 11 inches deep, which, you know what, is just fine. So just basically use this as the base like we always said we were going to do, and the actual bed is going to come off like a conventional bed because it's all been welded into one piece now. Because I'm quite sure when this truck was new and the bed would rattle around, I assume. So I really wanted it, you know, nice and taut and tight. But I've got to fix this bloody mount, so that has to mount on the underside of this, not on top, because now the bed won't lift off. So let's chop those off the frame and redo them. Well, those are the updated rear bed mounts. Not too sturdy because I'm going to be running box off here, which is going to be coming out to a right angle and then going straight down to that. I'm going to run a box across there, so it's going to be part one of two rear bed mounts really. So, but it's mounted to the bottom so I can lift the bed off if need be. Look at that, she almost looks like a proper truck. Please excuse if there is any wind noise, it is windy and I don't have a microphone. So look at that, just like a truck, kinda, nearly. So now we're on with, because I've got the truck in this position, closing up the bottom of the sill. I've got my box section in there. And I didn't really want to use like thin 18 gauge or anything like that because it's a sill. I wanted as much strength as I could get. So this is a cross member from behind the rear bumper of the Explorer slash Mountaineer, and it's thick and it's got ribs in it, so I like that. I like the idea of that. So, and it's also got vents, you know, drains. So I'm going to cut it in sections, probably do about 3 sections on each side, and then I can fill those gaps with the thinner like 18 gauge. But yeah, that's where we're at. So yeah, happy days. So that's all going to get filler panels in the sill. You see the box section and everything. That's super thick steel, so all this is now super strong and, you know, not going to move. And now we're on with cutting the door bar. And the one thing that we don't want to hear when we cut door bars off is a ping. Fingers crossed. Success! There was no pinging, popping or cracking. Happy days. So now we're going to mount up the e-brake bracket onto the A-pillar. The e-brake is in because obviously safety first, and basically it has 3 mounting points that look something like that. I didn't take video before I put the wires all around it, so you can't see anything now. But now some of you guys may be surprised when I say the door fitting this truck was purely based off measurements before now and was a little bit of a wing and a prayer. Put her on. Ho 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 ho. Hello. Hello Concours d'Elegance with those panel gaps. Look at that. They only vary, you know. They only vary to an unacceptable level. Apart from that, they're perfect. So there's a ton of bog in there, ton of filler in there, so I've had to beat the hell out of the bottom of the door from the inside because it was all rubbing. But, you know, primed that the other night. You know what? It's in the right place. It's in the right place. Absolutely baffling. And like to keep some glass delamination, a crack, and a bullet hole. It's pretty much, it's how Nathan's garage rolls. Keep it real, as the kids say. Let's see if we can get her out. From the front she looks strikingly similar to before, but as we come around to the side, my god, a developing beast. Yeah, everyone looks a bit high at the front. We turn in some torsion keys, I'd say. Yeah, definitely. Oh, and the side that's not quite as good. So we'll get that door on sometime next week. There we go, Fat Betty. Next stage. I need to adjust the seat. How do I do it? Is it down here? Oh, yeah. It's electric. I forgot. Sorry about that. Happy days. See you next time.